Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to look at a Husqvarna 128 LD string trimmer, and as you can see, the customer brought me some parts in a box.
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
This one's actually not that bad. It's just a few covers and a starter and some screws. No big deal. His complaint is that the unit has no spark. So he started taking it apart looking for the ignition module, and he couldn't find it. And once he couldn't find it behind that cover, he decided to bring it in. So we're going to confirm his problem here. We're going to use an impact driver and spin the crank and see if we have spark. And we do not have spark, so we confirm the customer's complaint. Just a note, if you do it this way with an impact, make sure you turn the flywheel the right way. You could get some weird results if you spin it the wrong way. So, you know, the guy already took off more screws, more than half of the screws he would have needed to take off to get to the coil. But we'll take the last 4 of them out here. The one thing I need to add, though, is that we'll have to loosen the carburetor up, because that orange housing won't clear the engine, or I don't want to say it. The air filter box won't clear the orange housing if it's tight. There needs to be a little bit of wiggle room there, like that, in order for these things to pull apart. So we'll take the 4 screws out that hold the engine block to the clutch hub housing. And just like that, it comes apart. The throttle cable is still connected, and the kill switch wire runs through that same loom. So we've got our ignition module here. There's just 2 screws on it. First thing I like to do is pop the spade connector wire off of there. And then we'll just unbolt the ignition module. Note how the high tension lead is sitting in a special track there to guide it. You want to just put an eyeball on that. Different trimmers have different setups. Some use some kind of a bracket and a holder, but they're all going to have something to keep that wire from drooping down and getting caught in the fan blade of the flywheel. So we'll put our kill wire back on, kind of rough route our high tension lead. Get a couple of screws started on that ignition coil. This is a pretty simple job. I think I got most of this repair in real time, so it's not that big of a deal. You will need to set the air gap between the ignition module and the magnets on the flywheel. I always like to double check the gap after I've removed the gapping tool. So as long as we're down this far, we're going to grease the end of the crankshaft where it goes into the needle bearing and the clutch drum.
Well, that's empty.
Cripes! We're out of grease.
Score!
Score! It's about 20 feet away. Nice shot. We got plenty of tubes of grease laying around though.
Wow.
So putting this back together, It's easy to do, but everything's got to be lined up just right. The crank's got to go into that needle bearing. There's some locating pins on the either the orange cover or the face of the engine. And then you got to get that air box out of the way so this all go together. And you know, the shoes of the clutch got to fit into the drum just right. You just keep wiggling it and eventually it all line up and go together. We'll get our 4 screws put in on the clutch side of the engine. And you see here we have these blue wires. These are the wires that go to the kill switch. We had this disconnected earlier to test the functionality of the kill switch, and it checked out okay. So these are going into the cast aluminum, so there's really not a lot of I think it's a coarse thread screw into aluminum, so there's not a lot of chance of stripping it. So now that we got those 4 screws tight, well, I guess here we're going to take a look at this little rubber grommet. There's 3 of them on this fuel tank, and they just, you know, they support the tank and protect it from vibration, I guess, and cracking. But we're going to get our carburetor tightened back up so we don't forget about that. Use our 8mm socket. Might as well throw the air filter on there right away. Oh, wait a minute, we're going to check for spark first. I guess that's probably a good idea. We're going to use the same method we used before. And we got really good spark there. We're jumping a 6mm gap. So we're good to go. We'll move forward with assembling things. Now we'll put our air filter on. And again, that air filter thumb screw there, don't be pushing in on them real hard to get them started, because you could be pushing out the nut that's just recessed into the plastic there. So just kind of spin them to get the thread started and tightened up. So we'll see if we got all the screws with this project. Okay, I got a mess going on the bench there, but so we got our rubber grommets on the fuel tank. We're going to get this cover kind of lined up, get the spark plug boot through the cover. That never would have went together, I don't think, with the spark plug on there. It might have. I'm not really sure though. It doesn't look like it would have went together. And this is kind of the same as the other side. You just kind of got to get everything lined up. Wiggle it around until it lines up just right. Keeping an eye on the rubber. Yeah, see, it's falling apart. Keeping an eye on those rubber boots on the fuel tank. Those little bushings or grommets or whatever you want to call them. I'm fighting this one a little bit. And it's...
Well, what a pain in my ass.
I'm fighting it because I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. If you're just putting one of these things together and not always trying to aim the action toward a camera, They go together a lot easier, you know. I found that in a lot of the videos I've been making here. I create a little extra work for myself by trying to aim the action toward the camera. So we're just running these screws into plastic, so we don't want to get too excited on the amount of torque we're putting on them. These two screws are actually running into the aluminum engine housing, and they're a fine thread screw, so don't get them mixed up with the other screws. Yeah, we were clutching out there a little bit on the lower setting I had it at for running into plastic. Click. So we got two pieces left for our muffler shroud. This funky little piece.
Probably these two, eh?
And you know, it looks like the guy put all the screws in a box. So we're golden. I also think I still got the clutch clamped up on that driver. There we go. So that's really all I got for you on the Husqvarna 128 LD string trimmer coil replacement. Thanks for watching. Later.
What the hell is that?
Come on, make it go vroom.